Hello sports fans, it is Thursday, April the 4th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Let's do a little recap of some scores from last night. Let's start in the NBA. Let's start with the Knicks and the Hawks. The Knicks go into Atlanta and beat the Hawks. The Knicks are on absolute fire. I mean, they were stumbling and bumbling for a while, the Knicks. They have caught fire at the right time. Carmelo Anthony, another huge game, follows up his 50-point game with another nice game last night. Knicks playing really, really well. Remember, the Knicks are battling Indiana for that 2 seed. Very important, because if Indiana and the Knicks should meet in the second round, which I think they will, home court could decide it. Remember, Indiana is a very good home team, a shaky road team, and you know the Knicks want to play Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. Very important who gets that 2 seed, Indiana or the Knicks. So the Knicks win again last night. And what's with the crowd in Atlanta? Did you see all the empty seats in Atlanta last night? I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, the Knicks are in town. There's a lot of New Yorkers down there, a lot of New York Knicks fans down there. I mean, the Hawks are a playoff team. They're a good team. You think they'd get a nice, decent crowd. Did you see the empty seats in Atlanta? Terrible job by the Atlanta fans. Now, I've said it for a long time. Atlanta is not a great sports city. They're just not. I mean, Atlanta Hawks don't draw very well. They've lost their hockey team twice. The Falcons, when they're good, draw, but when they're bad, they don't. The Braves made the World Series 100 times in a row and couldn't sell out World Series games. Atlanta is not a great sports city. But, I mean, come on. You can't sell out for the Knicks. The Knicks are one of the better teams in the East. Atlanta's a playoff team. Did you see all the empty seats? I couldn't believe that last night. What did they have there last night? Like 10, 12,000 people? All the good seats were empty. I couldn't believe it. I would say some of the worst sports cities in the United States, I would say Atlanta is up there. I would say Houston is up there. Miami definitely up there, and even in a lot of ways Los Angeles is up there. Those are not great sports cities in the United States. Atlanta, terrible job supporting your Hawks. I mean, this is a good team. I know it's not a championship team, but come on, you got Horford, you got Smith, you got the Knicks in town with Carmelo. I couldn't believe all the empty seats. Terrible job by the Hawk fans. You got to pick up your attendance, Atlanta. Come on now. Also last night, Denver went into Utah and beat the Jazz. I'll tell you, Utah, I mean, I have no faith in them. They're battling the Lakers for the 8th seed. Denver ran Utah off the court last night. You would think Utah, being at home against a Denver team that's not good on the road, without Ty Lawson, you'd think Utah would put up a better performance. I mean, I could see if they lost a close game, but they got run off the court in their own building in a must-win game. Now they're a half a game behind the Lakers, a game in the loss column. They do hold the tiebreakers, but now they got to make up a game. Terrible job by Utah. You know what? They're just not any good. I mean, they're mediocre at best. They are not a good team. I've been saying it for a while now. They're terrible on the road. I mean, we know they can't win a game on the road, and here they lay a complete egg at home. I mean, I couldn't believe the score of this game. They just absolutely got tattooed by Denver. Terrible job by Utah. I think when the dust settles, the Lakers are still going to make the 8th seed. I have no faith in Utah. I mean, this game last night proves it. Forget Dallas. They're done. The Lakers bombarded them the other night. In Portland, please, they're long gone. So that was some of your scores from the NBA last night. Over to the NHL we go. The Rangers at Madison Square Garden had a big win over the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. Rangers needed this win. They finally put the puck in the net. They bombed the Penguins 6-1. Rangers had to have it. Remember, the Rangers are battling the Islanders and the Devils for that 8th seed, so a very important win for the Rangers. People have been asking me, what's wrong with the Penguins? What's wrong with the Penguins? They just came off a 15-game winning streak. Give them a break. Yeah, they've lost 2 in a row, but, I mean, come on. Did you think they were going to go undefeated the rest of the year? I mean, the Blackhawks went through the same little spell. The Ducks, all the top teams who had big winning streaks. I mean, you can't win every game. Yes, they've lost 2 in a row. Give them a break. Not to mention, is it that much of a shock considering all the guys out of the lineup? Crosby's out. I mean, Letang's out. Martin's out. Malkin just got back. Fleury just got back. They have a lot of guys banged up. I mean, Crosby, their best player, is out. I mean, is this a shock that their winning streak came to an end this week? I mean, come on, people. Give them a break. I mean, they can't lose a game now. I mean, calm down. They're still one of the better teams in hockey. They're going to be right there for the Stanley Cup. I mean, they got to get some of these guys healthy, which I think they will, but give them a break. Come on. So the Rangers, a nice win last night. Also last night, the Flyers at home beat Montreal. This was a very nice win for the Flyers. They're down 3-2 late in this game. They get 3 late goals. They had one of their best third periods of the year, the Flyers. If there's ever a game to springboard the Flyers back into the playoff race, this is it. Because you figure they're going to lose this game last night. Montreal's a really good team. Montreal's got the lead late. Flyers come flying back, win the game. If there's ever a game that's going to turn their season around, this could be the game. Now, they still got a lot of work to do, Philadelphia, but maybe they could build off this win. It's got to be now, though. Time is running out. Also, last night, Anaheim continued their winning ways. They beat Dallas, and San Jose beat Minnesota. There were a ton of trades in the NHL yesterday. Yager went to the Bruins. We'll see if he can help out. It's hard to believe Yager is still playing. I mean, I'm shocked that Yager is still playing. I mean, I cannot believe how long this guy has been playing. I am really surprised he's still in the NHL. Over to your Major League Baseball yesterday. The Reds beat the Angels in a very nice game. I'll tell you, these two teams have been going at it the first 2 games. 2 really, really close games. 2 very well-pitched games. Very exciting. 2 very nice teams. I expect to see them both in the playoffs. So right now the series is 1-1. Reds win last night. Washington shut out Florida again. Washington looks like a really good team. Back-to-back shutouts. And how bad of a year is it going to be for Florida? I mean, we know they gutted their team. I mean, it looks like a lost year for Florida. They have not scored a run yet in 2 games. It's going to be a long year for Florida. The Braves beat the Phillies again. Oh, boy, I don't like what I'm seeing from the Phillies already early. I know it's only 2 games, but I mean, if Hamels and Holiday are going to get shelled like they've been shelled the first 2 games, that's a bad sign because their pitching has to come through. Hamels, Holiday, and Cliff Lee, who pitches today, they have to pitch well for the Phillies to have any sort of chance, and the Braves just bombarded them 2 games in a row. I think the Braves are one of the better teams in the league. Jay Upton with a home run. Braves, really solid team. Phillies are shaky. Phillies are reminding me of the Yankees. Very shaky right now. Speaking of the Yankees, the Boston Red Sox beat the Yankees again. The Yankees look like a dead carcass early in the season. Kuroda goes out with an injury. How many guys are on the DL for the Yankees? I mean, they're going to need some of these guys back eventually. Yankees have old elephants all over the field. Crowd was dead. Very lackluster setting at Yankee Stadium. Very eerie to see a Boston Yankee game so eerie and dry, and the crowd, it was desolate at Yankee Stadium. I mean, they tried to rally late, but by then it was too late. Yankees right now, a dead carcass, look like a bunch of old elephants, need to get some of these guys healthy. The Mets yesterday beat San Diego. I mean, how bad is San Diego going to be? The Mets just bombed them 2 games in a row. San Diego looks like they're going to be a bad team because we know the Mets are not any good. San Diego looks pretty bad. Cleveland beats Toronto again. That's 2 wins in a row for Cleveland over Toronto. Remember, Toronto's got a lot of pressure on them. High expectations for the Blue Jays. Playoffs or bust. They added a lot of players. Couple things I'm worried about with Toronto. Number 1, you got Batista coming back from wrist surgery, although I think he will be fine. How is Dickey going to pitch in the American League? And remember, these guys they got from the Marlins, like Reyes and all these guys they got from the Marlins were in last place with these guys last year. So it's not a given that the Blue Jays are going to be great this year. I still think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be right there for the playoffs. A lot of pressure on them now for the first time in a long time. Also yesterday, Tampa Bay beat Baltimore, evened up that series. 2 good teams going at it. Arizona beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals remind me like of the Yankees and the Phillies. A lot of guys hurt. I mean, great, great franchises, but a lot of guys hurt. May not be the Cardinals' year this year. And San Francisco beats the Dodgers after dropping the first game of the series. The Giants win the last 2. Until proven otherwise, the Giants are still the best team in the West, and the Dodgers are still looking up at them. Dodgers won game 1. Giants come back, win 2 games in a row on the road, and take the series behind their great pitching, behind Lincecum last night. Giants still the class in the NL West. Dodgers still chasing them. Dodgers had a chance to win this series, didn't get it done. Giants still the class of the division. All right, so that was kind of some of your scores from last night. As far as tonight what to watch in your NBA. You got Chicago, Brooklyn. You got San Antonio, Oklahoma City. Very important game. Those two teams battling for the top spot in the West. This game could decide it. Remember, no Ginobili tonight. We'll see if Duncan plays. The game's at Oklahoma City. I expect Oklahoma City to win. I think Oklahoma City is going to get the top seed. Also tonight in your NHL, New Jersey at Boston. Huge game for the Devils. Islanders at Washington. Huge game for both teams. Winnipeg at Montreal, St. Louis at Chicago, Minnesota at LA. Of course, you got all your baseball. You got some NIT tonight at Madison Square Garden, the championship game in the NIT. Iowa and Baylor. I mean, two decent teams, but what a strange matchup to put in the heart of New York City for the NIT championship game. Iowa-Baylor, what kind of crowd they going to get for this game? I mean, Iowa and Baylor, are not exactly right around the corner. I mean, who is going to come out for this game? We'll see what kind of crowd they get for this game. So that's kind of some of the stuff you have going on tonight. Let's get a couple movies real quick. I have some time today. Tomorrow we'll get into our NCAA tournament. Finally we get back to the Final Four after a week off. Let's go through some movies real quick. I did get a chance to see Lincoln. That's the Steven Spielberg movie. To me, I would give it about, out of 4 stars, 0 to 4, I would give it 2.5. I would say I was disappointed. A little too talky for me. A little too much talking. Not a lot of action. I thought we were going to have some big battle scenes in this. The whole backdrop of the Civil War. Never materialized into a movie like that. More of a talking political movie. More about getting bills passed, all that kind of stuff. A lot of talking. A little dry. Remember, I gave Life of Pi, Zero Dark 30, and Argo all 3 stars. I would give Lincoln about 2.5. I think it was a little step back from those movies. Definitely not as good as those other movies. A little dry. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis is spectacular. Daniel Day-Lewis can play any part. He's a great actor. He had me believing he was Lincoln. I thought he was Lincoln. I didn't think he was Daniel Day-Lewis. I thought he was Lincoln. He was great. A little dry, though. A little too much talking. And Steven Spielberg, I'll tell you, he's been off his game a little bit lately. When's the last time Steven Spielberg had a great 4-star movie, a real great movie? I think we got to go all the way back to Saving Private Ryan, maybe. Spielberg a little off his game lately. Not the best you could do at Lincoln. I was expecting an epic. I was expecting like a really exciting, just dramatic epic. It was okay, but it was dry more than good to me. 2.5, and for a Lincoln movie, I would say that's disappointing. I was a little disappointed in Lincoln. Also, speaking of Steven Spielberg, if you're looking for something to watch in the movie theater, in the actual theater this weekend, they're re-releasing Jurassic Park. They're re-releasing it in 3D. Now, I'm not a big 3D guy. I don't want to sit there with my glasses and all that kind of stuff. I don't need 3D action. But if you want to see Jurassic Park in 3D, they are re-releasing it. I did like Jurassic Park. I would say 0 out of 4. I'd give it 3 stars just because of the dinosaurs and the animation. The dinosaurs were to die for. I thought the acting was horrible. I thought the people were not believable. The dinosaurs were more believable than the people. That's the problem I had with Jurassic Park. I still liked it. Now, all those sequels they made a couple sequels after that, like The Lost World. They got worse and worse as we went along, and the acting got worse and worse also. But Jurassic Park, if you want to check it out, you can definitely check it out in 3D. That definitely will be playing in your theaters coming up this weekend. Also on DVD, I'm going to check out Les Miserables over the weekend. I've been meaning to get to it, haven't got to it. I'll see how I get into this. Musicals, that's a tough one. I'm not against musicals. I loved Grease. I thought Grease was a good musical. I don't know how I'm going to get into Les Mis, but I'll give it a shot. I'm also going to check out the Hobbit movie. That's the Lord of the Rings new trilogy. This is, I guess, the prequel to Lord of the Rings. They're doing a trilogy with the Hobbit, so that is out on DVD. And there's a new Brad Pitt movie out on DVD as well, Killing Them Softly. I don't have high expectations for that one, but we'll give it a shot. Also, I did watch an old movie. I watched the 1963 original Pink Panther movie with David Niven and Peter Sellers. I watched that movie. I'll tell you, the first Pink Panther is not that great. I would give it 0 to 4 stars. I would give it 2 stars. It wasn't that great. It was funny. It was more of like a burglary type of movie. It wasn't that funny. Peter Sellers, though, because he stole the show in this movie, they ended up, making his character, developing his character into the future sequels. When they first made the Pink Panther original movie, they wanted to continue with David Niven in like these these robbery type movies. They wanted David Niven to be the big star. But Peter Sellers, in his character as, Inspector Clouseau, stole the show, and they ended up making him the main characters in the movies going forward. So I found that interesting. I mean, then they made, in 1964, A Shot in the Dark. That's with Sellers as the lead, as, Inspector Clouseau. That was a pretty good movie. And then, of course, you have your Return of the Pink Panther, your Pink Panther Strikes Again, and your Revenge of the Pink Panther. But those movies were all about 10 years later. I mean, when they made the original Pink Panther and The Shot in the Dark, that was 1963, 1964. And then there's a huge gap there until 1975, until they bring Sellers back as, Inspector Clouseau. So there was a long gap in there. They did have a movie called Inspector Clouseau in 1968, but for some reason, Alan Arkin played Inspector Clouseau, not Peter Sellers. So I don't know what they were doing there. So the original Pink Panther, 1963, not that great. I'd give it 2 stars. I mean, Shot in the Dark, 1964, that's a good movie. And then the 3 that I thought were the best in this series: Return of the Pink Panther, 1975, The Pink Panther Strikes Again, 1976, and Revenge of the Pink Panther, 1978, with Peter Sellers playing, the infamous Inspector Clouseau, the bumbling, stumbling inspector who solves the crimes even though he does everything wrong. Those were the better, Pink Panther movies. But this first one wasn't all that great. So there you go. That's a couple movies to keep an eye on. All right. So like I said, tomorrow, you guys, we're going to do the NCAA tournament. We're going to do the Final Four. I'll give you my picks for the Final Four games. Then we have our championship game on Monday. We'll recap what went on tonight in the sports world. We'll also give you a little preview of what's going to go on over the weekend. All right. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe. Enjoy the games tonight. You got some games tonight. I'd focus in on that San Antonio, Oklahoma City game. You got hockey, you got baseball all over the place. Enjoy the games tonight. Stay safe. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you tomorrow, Friday. Take care.